Okay, tell Kuldeep he can tell everybody broadcast is on.
Okay, Kuldeep sir, tell everybody that broadcast is on. But not from here.
Okay, let me tell Mayank to tell everybody this also.
ब्रॉडकास्ट ऑन हो गया, आप बता दीजिए, इन्फॉर्म कर दीजिए सबको. अच्छा.
Let me find his hangout thing. Oh, it's also going to record this. So.
Broadcast on.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session. We are training today on how to conduct an observation for total lunar eclipse. As you all know, total lunar eclipse is coming up on January 31st, and all of us in different cities will be conducting it. And it's actually a great event because it's blue moon, which means it's the second full moon of the month. And it's a super moon because it's close to perigee. And of course, it's also total lunar eclipse as viewed by most of us in all our partner cities. The only thing is that the moon will rise when it's already in eclipse. So hopefully all of us are planning to conduct this activity. So now I'm going to invite Soumya Senapati sir to brief all of you on how to do a public observation. What are the points we should mention? Public observation or a school observation. And then when he's done, I'll brief you on an activity on how to measure change in luminosity. So all of you are not visible on the session. Only Senapati and I are. So all of you are welcome to comment, and we will address your comments as we see it. Okay, so go ahead, Senapati, start.
Thank you, Mila ma'am. So the first thing is that whenever it comes about a public observation session, first and foremost and the most important thing for all of you to remember that your whole concentration should be on the public and how to notice them. And handling public is actually a very big thing according to me. And whenever we are going for a public observation session, going to the observation, we have to plan it accordingly. That we have to remember. The setup for the public observation should be ready at least 30 to 45 minutes before. And the persons is doing the public observation, they should have in a proper way, so that how the flow of the public should be there, that how it should be distributed to all over there, and how they're going to notice the public. All of the things they have to take care of. Just before going to all of these things, you have to keep in mind that these are the things they have to cover up. Okay, so first thing, before the session starts, you have to make sure that all of your things is in proper condition. like your telescopes, which has to be cleaned and which has to be properly aligned beforehand. Because if it is not aligned properly, then these are also going to make a lot of problem over there. Okay. Now, next thing is that all of our advertisement things like our handouts and the standees and all of the things are at its proper place. These are the things first they have to remember. And as according to you, if the setup is ready, you can start. Okay. Now, when you are starting it, you just need to find out you just need to first welcome the audience. Okay, the addressing the audience is one of the most biggest thing when you are doing a public observation session, because if your addressing to the people is not correct, then it is not going to be a proper impactful observation session. So you have to first welcome. Okay, now after welcoming over over there, then you can start with the introduction. What should be there in introduction? You can find out like all about the eclipse, and you can also interact there that about the myths and all of the things. Let them speak about it. Let them tell what are the things. Let the audience answer first. Let them interact with them properly, and after that, try to grab the answers from the audience first. This is the most common thing which you have to remember. Okay, after that, what you can do, you can individually ask the questions to each and every people who is over there, or you can do one thing, you can do a group observation kind of thing, like you can ask it in a group. That's what also you can do. But you have to make them busy, because it is not like they simply come and see the eclipse and go away. Okay, they have to enjoy it, and they need to understand all of the things what it is. So the first thing, public addressing, welcome, and introduction. And make sure that your moonrise is almost like it's in between 6:15 or somewhere. So before that hand, you should be ready with all of the stuff. Now, during moonlight, first have to point out the moon, and which should be in eclipse. So you have to first point out towards moon and show the public that what is there. And whenever you are saying towards moon, what should be there? Like, you can't simply say that this is the moon and which is rising right now. Rather than simply saying it, you can give the informations about it. Now, what sort of informations we can give, right? This is also another most important question. So whenever it is coming towards the eclipse moon, just beforehand, you can say about how does this eclipse happens and all of the science behind it. You can also say it. You can say about that at which phase the moon is right now in between the eclipse, what is the time, and all of the technicalities which is there inside it. You can also tell them about the speciality of this eclipse. Like, this eclipse is not a simple full moon eclipse. This is a super moon, and this is also a blue moon eclipse. So the
So,
people
Sinapati, one question I have is, are you going to be walking us through the presentation also
I'm just going. I can
after
just
this?
keep it over there. Yeah, I will just keep it after this, because if I'm
Right,
just keeping it then the conversation will break the flow. So that's why.
right, right.
Yeah. So then over here, when ma'am, the thing is that in public observation, I don't think so. The PPT
Yeah,
can be played
exactly. So
properly.
I just want to make clear to our educators right now that observation then go straight for what Senapati is saying of how to address the, keep the attention of the crowd. But if you are in a school and you have the opportunity to first do a presentation, then Senapati will show you that presentation data that can be shown before the eclipse.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the
Yeah, go ahead,
information.
Senapati.
So after that, as I was telling you about the addressing to the people about the eclipse and its speciality. Now, during 6:10, exactly at 6:10:21, that full phase eclipse begins. So you have to be ready with all of the informations, as we all are from different cities. So you have to keep your time accordingly. So 6:15 onwards, the observation should be started, and it depends on which location you are. Okay, and the 6:21, the full phase begins. When the full phase begins, you have to keep it in mind just beforehand. You also have to tell all the technicalities about it. And during the eclipse, what you can do, you can use your telescope just to show the people the moon. Now all the other persons who are over there, okay, some people are observing through telescope. Now what the other people should do, it is completely based on how you are performing over there. It should be there, like you can interact with them. Now what you can do is you can ask them questions about different things. Over here we have another thing which is a very interesting fact. In fact, it's a very good and unique concept which we have came through, that is Chand Kalanga. About this, and for taking the snacks during the time of eclipse, just to break the myth which has been created beforehand. Okay, so this is the way how you should interact with them. Now 6:59, during 6:21 to 6:59, that full eclipse is going to be there. 6:59, the full eclipse is going to, it's coming to an end. 7:37, the maximum stage ends. Period, each and every time about the luminosity of the moon. Luminosity are talking about, there is a certain activity which can be done during that moment, that Mila ma'am will explain. So during this moment, public addressing. So these are the three things which we are going to do. One is public addressing, one is activity, and another one is proper interaction. These are the three basic things which we have to do during the whole public observation session. Need to remember that all the audience, whoever is here, they're not here for whole 3 hours. They can say it, we don't have any issues for it, but you should remember that it's an activity over where you need to join the crowd properly so that they can enjoy it and they can spend the quality time with us. Understand about the things which is there inside, and the most important thing, they should enjoy it. It is not like just simply come, see and go. It should not be there. So main thing is that the most important thing is interaction. If media persons are there, then you need to be the representative from our company to say all of the things about it. On the media representation will be given by Mila ma'am itself. Okay, now the last, after during the recordings you can also do the photography, which is also another event. And some of the people I think has already been trained how to do the photography, right? And these things can be done during the eclipse, but you need to remember that you have to work on all these things parallelly. It is not like that you are going there for the completely photography and you forget about the people who are there. So you need to also see your photographs. You need to also keep exploring what the thing is going on in the public observation session before all of the things. That's why I was just saying you do the things properly so that it can go in a proper flow. And if more people are there, so don't panic. Is that if more audience is coming, then make them interact with group discussions. Then it is a better way to find a solution from it. It cannot be so chaotic if you are going with a proper planning. That's what I can say for the purpose of public observation, and it will start from and it can go up to 9. So these are the complete 3 hours where you can spend your time with public, with your knowledge if you want. So this is the whole conduction way. In between also you need to keep in mind, with astrophotography you photographs of the session, photographs of the session. Some people who are watching through telescope, some people where educator is addressing to the people to showing them to the moon, the Chanka Langar where maybe some people who are taking their snacks just to break the myth. During these are the simple highlights of the, you can pick some photographs. If own personals are also there, interact with them and try to have with them, and if possible then take photographs also. Also take the feedbacks from them if it is possible, so that we can highlight it later on. So these are the things you have to keep it in mind during your public observation session. Now let's go for the school one. So before, all of the things has to be done during the public observation, but when it comes about the school activity, During the school activity, what you have to do first, you have to play the PPT, okay, where all of the concepts has been written. I am just simply showing you a brief about the PPT, which can be completed within 20 to 25 minutes. Public observation session. So I'm going to share my screen right now so that I can show them the PPT. Okay, so I hope so. The PPT is in your screen. Is it there, ma'am?
Yeah, that's visible. Correct.
Yeah, sure. Fine. So this is the PPT which you have to show over there. Okay. So this PPT also tells about, it's just all
Again,
of
if
the
it's
things which,
possible, even in the school
yeah,
observation.
yeah. Even if it's possible, right? So the thing is that now thing is that first thing is that you have to generate the curiosity among the students to know about the eclipse. But before that, they need to understand the phase of moon. Okay, so this slide represents you the phases of moon. Okay, over here you can explain about the position of the moon in the cosmos. So how is it working? The phases of moon. After that, you need to show them that during eclipse also happens. So if that is the thing, that is the scenario, then at each and every 5 days we get one full moon. If we will take this analysis in our point of view, we should get at least 12 to 13 lunar eclipse in the year. It. That means each and every full moon should be an eclipse. Let them answer it. If they can answer it, then it is fine. Can do. Then we can go to the science of eclipse behind it. Happens over here, as you can see, that means every full moon should be. But is it so? So what happens? Let's understand the lunar eclipse first. Before lunar eclipse, as you can see, show the top view and the front view presentation, and from here they can conclude that the orbit of the moon is not actually inclined with the orbit of the earth. It is actually 1 degree tilted, just because of which when it comes to the proper node, then only it comes as an eclipse. Okay, so these are the two nodes where this eclipse can be occurred. About it with a proper flow. After this, now what you can do, you can simply go with the flow to tell them about the different phases of eclipse. Like first you need to understand them the shadows which can because of sun. Okay, the two types of shadows, which is umbra and penumbra. When the moon is going to penumbra, then we will have partial solar eclipse, sorry, lunar eclipse. When it is going through the umbral phase, then it is coming to eclipse. Now over here also, as you can see, know that when it is in umbral lunar eclipse, it is not completely black. The moon becomes red, or which we call it as blood moon. So why it became blood rather than it is going to be completely black? Over need to explain about the scattering of light. Okay, so umbra and penumbra, why this happens? The scattering of light is the reason why it becomes blood moon. Okay, now from here, the activity which Mila ma'am will explain about it, and I think Mila ma'am, it's over to you right now. I'm just sharing my screen. Please stopping sharing my screen. I think so. Everything has been covered properly.
Okay, so yeah, thanks, Senapati. And we have a lot of questions also. So let's, yeah, we'll handle the questions, but let me just add some things to what he said. Yeah, some people have concerns of presentation. How can we actually describe it? You just have to do your best because, not only do you not have any presentation, but it's also layman. So they may not even understand what you mean by nodes. Just have to briefly try to tell them. And the other thing is you have to, let me summarize first what Senapati tried to say. You have to give the same briefing like every time a new phase starts. So start your description or your observation with why it's a special day, that it's a lunar eclipse, it's a super moon, and it's a blue moon. Then you have to repeat the same sentence every 10-15 minutes, because new people might come and go. Additionally, every time there's a new phase, when the moon starts, it'll already be partial. But when it comes to penumbral and total, please call out the time. And when you call out the time, you try to explain what is partial and what is penumbral, and so on. Okay, so and at every stage, you also do a chant ka langar, which is just tell them, let's share some food that you have, and try to break the myth. So every time you call out the timing, try to explain the phase, try to do the sharing of food. In addition, some of you will be doing photography throughout, and some of you have been trained on that by Neeraj, and whoever hasn't will be trained by Neeraj himself. So, what photograph should you aim for? Of course, you should yourself and your students. You should guide them to just do photography of the moon in the eclipse stage. Secondly, you should try to do photography of a time lapse of at least 5-6 steps of the phases. So whatever photographs you take and post, if you post it that day, that evening after the observation, it'll be the most valuable, because we can share it on other websites and on media. And this is especially true for partners, because you can send your pictures to media. If you're going to send, you have to send it that night. So all cities who are going to send a press release, and I can't ask you this question now because I'll do it for Delhi, but other cities, please send a press release and invite about your location at least 5 to 6 days in advance. And for us, we are doing that on Monday or Tuesday, so that because this is an event that press will cover. So please invite all the media uh, 5 to 6 days in advance. Secondly, you should have a post press release ready, like I will have. I'll share that post press release. It will just say observation was done at this location. Your best pictures to media that night itself. Okay, you can send it with just basic processing and basic watermark, but just send it because it will be covered for this kind of event. Secondly, if you post it on social media, then please remember to hashtag, uh, do a hashtag TLE 2018, 2018, TLE 2018, and you have to do an at Space India. So please remember to do both of these so we can take it to the maximum number of websites and media possible. And we want to send all the coverage, so please do go ahead and do it. Okay, so photography, Neeraj is going to advise you or train you more. And with everybody, all the centers, I'm going to share a document, astrophotography, for module 2. So that's again just basic photography and just uh, the phases. So not the more advanced photography. Anybody who wants to do that will have to talk to Neeraj about it. But I'll share the basic astrophotography document. In addition, we are going to do an activity that measures the change in luminosity. So let me show you that document, and I'll also share my screen now. And this is a document that we will give uh, to everybody, to all the educators. Okay, so, and Senapati, again, you tell me when that gets. Uh,
Okay, should I share it?
wait. No, I'm sharing it.
Okay.
You can see it. You can see the document now, right?
Yes, yes,
I
ma'am.
just shared a document. Okay, so this is a document uh, that we are going to give you. But let me get rid of this and show you the presentation instead, the same presentation that he was showing. Does it show now, Senapati?
No, ma'am, it's not showing.
Okay, let me go back to it.
Yep, now it's.
Now it's showing?
Yep.
Okay. So we are going to do an activity that measures the change in hue during the total lunar eclipse. For that, we use something called the Danjon scale. So what is the activity? As Senapati described, and as all of you know, the the way the moon's orbit is going through the umbra may be different during different lunar eclipses. It might be different this time. It might be different on July 31st when this will repeat, and it might be different at different times. So basically, the point is the geometry of the moon's path through the Earth's umbra every time. There are other issues for which the luminosity of the lunar eclipse that you observe might be different. And that could be the Earth's atmospheric condition. Because as you know, the Earth's atmosphere contains liquid droplets and also solid particles like dust and debris. And this material reflects some of the sun's rays. So uh, also the cloud cover. So based on this, lumen, and that will show you what is the luminosity change from when the total eclipse just starts to the maximum, and then again what it is during when the lunar eclipse is just about to end. So through this, one can actually figure out what is the geometry of the umbra, and also one can compare different locations and see what was the luminosity and hue being color that was seen at different locations. So let's take a look at this. In the early 20th century, French astronomer Danjon introduced this 5 point scale. So this is a 5 point scale, the way I have it picturized below: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this, using this scale, so you basically just visually compare what you can see to the scale, and you can just say what you're seeing. Which of these L for luminosity, which L are you seeing? So this is a better way. So L equals 0 would be very dark. So 0 to 4 means you go from darker to brighter or darker to redder. As Senapati said, it's a blood moon, ring of red. So if you see it as very dark, which is the moon is almost invisible, then it's 0. And then 1 is it's gray, 2 is it's deep red with an outer umbral edge, 3 is it's a brick red with a bright rim, and L equal to 4 is very bright copper red or orange eclipse, and so on. So which means, so what do you have to do? I don't have. What you have to do is you have to luminosity of what you are seeing just after totality begins, at maximum totality, and just before totality ends. So there will be at least 3 observations. And in these observations, you have to write the timing that you recorded it and the luminosity value on this Danjon scale. So that's all. You have to record it. And we will give you a handout. And that handout has a reporting sheet. I'll just tear off and give you the reporting sheet. Report in the reporting sheet the name, institute. Hmm? No, this presentation is not there. Okay. It's coming, right? Senapati, can you see the presentation?
No, ma'am, it's logged right now. I can. No,
Okay,
no,
it's locked.
no.
Okay. Okay. You don't see, you don't see reporting right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
It's
So let me get out of the
logged.
stop
Oh,
sharing.
it's reporting. It's reporting. It's reporting. It was showing reporting
Okay. But I just got out
just
of it.
recently.
Okay.
No problem.
So let me screen share again.
Yeah, sure.
And this time I'll show you the document that I'm giving out. Okay, so this is the Word document we will be giving to you. And this has the activity, the objective, the summary, then what can we evaluate, the measurement procedure, the Danjon scale measurement, what is the scale, what is the scale, and there's a reporting sheet. Okay, so the way the reporting sheet is, you can just tear the reporting sheet and submit it back to the educator. And we also have an online link where you can submit this. Okay, so basically, again, just to summarize, this luminosity measurement will be done only during total eclipse phase. So you'll have to have the timing in hand already. And what you have to do is, as soon as the total eclipse starts, take the first measurement, then at maximum take the second measurement, and when the just before totality ends, take the final measurement. And this luminosity change between these three steps kind of indicates what is the path through the umbra. So we'll be doing two results out of this. One is each of you can see this, and secondly, we will compare what was the L seen at different locations, and that gives the things like the cloud and atmospheric conditions. And just out of a fun information, I would like to tell you that the year there was the Pinatubo volcano, the luminosity of the luminosity came totally different than other years because there was so much volcanic particles in the atmosphere. So this is the activity we will be doing. And now again, the point is, uh, you obviously cannot activity with in public. It's hard to do. So basically, if you're in a school, you should already brief your students on this and try to get them all to do this observation if you're in a school. If you're in public, for with the help of the educators, and and just tell the public what you're doing, because it will be hard to involve the public in it. What you should involve the public in is photography and make them post it on social media and tag us. Okay, so that's a luminosity activity, and that's Senapati has briefed on most of it. Okay, so let me address some of the questions. Senapati, you and I can both talk about it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
ma'am, sure.
that's we have a lot of questions, and please, all of you are our educators. Mostly 95% are our educators. You can just ask us individually also. Okay, so Pratyasha says we've not been trained on astrophotography. And Sinapati, do you have an answer to that? Are we
Yeah,
training
see,
them?
ma'am, the thing is that if they are not trained in astrophotography, then we also have these certain activities. It is not like that it is mandatory for them to do the astrophotography for
Yeah,
moon.
and none of it is mandatory. You
Yes.
just conduct the public observation. I know that Neeraj said he's trying to train the partner educators on photography. So if you can do it, it's great. Otherwise, just take a photograph.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, then Chitra says, what are the different activities by which we can indulge the audience? And keep in mind that I think Senapati said that try to keep them for a longer time. It's not going to happen. People will just come and go. So just when they're there, you just keep pointing out the moon features that is going on today. And I'll give you more facts to all the educators in all the cities. I'll give you more facts about this eclipse. For example, it's in the first time in 150 years that this kind of lineup is happening of supermoon, blue moon, and full
Yes.
moon. So you just need to have the facts, keep saying it, keep pointing some features. Additionally, for public observation, we have also given you a conduction document that says try to have another telescope or that points to uh, the winter hexagon and Orion and Pleiades if visible. So if you have another educator, they can be showing this also as something that's visible in the sky. Senapati, anything to add to that
They
observation?
they can make a virtual sky tour to them, to all of the audience. Whatever the celestial objects is there inside the sky, they can make them literate about those things. Possible. Then also it is possible that if they are showing them these things, they can also make a comparative scale. Like let's say it's in Orion. I'm comparing Betelgeuse is there. So compare Betelgeuse with its factual things with sun. Try to amaze them with these things also. It is not like just only see the moon only, right?
Right.
We
So
have so
Sandeep
many
asks,
things for the
and he has a good
interaction.
question. If there will be fixed audience for 3 hours, what other activities can we do? I don't know if anywhere we're expecting a fixed audience for 3 hours. You have to show the presentation. You have to go through these stages, and when the stages happen, you shout out the phases. Okay, and you do the eating thing. You do luminosity and photography, but uh,
Luminosity take the whole 3 hours also. No? It can be done throughout the whole 3 hours. They can just read them about the
no,
whole
it
thing.
can only be done during. No, no, it can only be done for the total phase, not the other
I mean,
phases.
yeah. I mean to say during the total lunar eclipse, they can do the luminosity first. Okay, it will simply join.
Yeah.
It will just simply make them busy. Completion of this luminosity activity, then go through the other activities which we have already told you. Make them the sky tour, and all the things are also there. Point them towards different objects which is there inside the sky. And as you have already said that just shout out the time and the total the phase which is there.
Okay, and then Pratyasha says that their observation is from 5:30 to 7:30. So
It's the best time to do it. The whole eclipse is going to be during
will
that
they
only,
get to the total phase?
because the total phase has already been begun when it is rising.
No, no, it's in partial phase when it's rising, and total is later. So all of you should have the timings in your hand, which we don't right now. When it's rising, it's in partial Sinapati, and total happens a little bit
Okay,
later.
yeah.
Okay, so but anyway, most of you should encourage people to stick through the total phase. Once the total ends, after that, people can disperse. So Sandeep, uh, I don't know if it's worth keeping people till 9:30, because once the total phase is over, there won't be much else to see. So you just want the transition from total to, and then you can slowly disperse because there won't be much else to see after that. So consider, if you can, that start as soon as you can see the moon, and you can end. Don't take it. You may not need to take it up to 9:30, but end uh, soon after the total phase ends. Okay, so now for those of you who could not see the presentation, some of you are saying it was blurry, and even my document, we will be giving you these. We'll be giving you these documents by Monday, so you can just look at it yourself. Okay, so Pratyusha wanted it by mail now, but that's okay. We'll just once you get it, it's self-explanatory. We will just send it to you. Chitra has an idea. We can take selfie with the moon. You can do that. Sure, that's a good idea. And uh, we will have we will post it. Shagun says parents say that watching eclipse will have a bad effect on our eyes. Is this ever said for lunar eclipse or only for solar eclipse? Sinapati, do you know? Because I think the
It
effect
is
is only from solar eclipse.
yes, and that too in solar eclipse also. When it is complete solar eclipse, then only it is going to happen. Only in solar,
Yeah,
it is never in lunar.
it's never in lunar because we're not looking at the moon during lunar eclipse, so that
Yes.
should not be an issue. And please address that. Tell them that it's during
Even
solar
even
that
part
it's a problem.
even partial solar eclipse is also not dangerous.
Yeah, so firstly the point is that it's only solar that these problems could come, and therefore we have to watch solar eclipse carefully. But in lunar it should not be the issue. And again, Pratyusha, good idea. You say that they planned a street play explaining the myths.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody else has a fixed audience for 3 hours, think of things like that. Peak
Mm-hmm.
time of TLE, she says, is from 6:45 to 8. Sandeep, okay, Sandeep says he has a fixed audience. So uh, Sinapati, let's try to help him on what to do for the whole 3 hours. We can help you later, Sandeep.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, so yeah, Rohib, so it is a myth that we have for lunar eclipse. So Pooja and Rohib both say that uh, this myth of how to view a lunar eclipse might be there for lunar as well as solar. So let's make it a point to explain that it's only for solar that there are the ultraviolet rays that come directly that we look into, and please explain that. So now we all need to be able to explain the myth about rays harming our eyes, as well as address the myth of eating during eclipse. Okay, Siddesh says, from which planet can we see Earth eclipse? Okay, so I know I recently saw a picture from Mars that this lunar eclipse picture was taken. So I'm not sure of the answer, Siddesh, but let's figure that out. Uh, we'll mail the links to everybody. Do we have anybody here who's fog dude? Are you one of our educators, or have you just joined us?
No, no,
Uh,
madam.
Okay, so if you have just joined us, we will give you the links. We are encouraging the public also. Besides our educators, we are also encouraging public to hold observations. So we will put our links. We will put our links on our website. And Fog Dude, you can you can send us an email on this, and we are going to target a lot of people and send them an email. Okay, so thanks, Fog Dude. Thanks for joining us, and we will. Okay, Chitra also suggests we can give you a sheet where they can sketch the partial lunar eclipse, and compare the picture of the moon. Manali says this is what we are doing for fixed audience. So I think we'll leave it at this. We'll compile these activities, send you another conduction sheet. You've got a lot of ideas based on this. And please do the luminosity activity, whoever you can. Please do photography. Please address the myths. In addition, now we have ideas of sketching the eclipse and also doing a street play for those who have fixed audience. Okay. So again, Sandeep asks about solar eclipse versus in general looking towards the sun, but we are not, again, we are not really addressing it because it's not a solar eclipse. There is an itinerary that we have given, and Manali suggested another itinerary here. So I think with that, we'll compile all this information and send it out to all of you. If any of you have joined us here who are not a space educator, then please check our website, www.space-india.com. We will have a link there talking about what you can do during the eclipse and how you can join with us. You can also register with us and take this observation to the public and get a certificate from us for conducting it. So yeah, Pratusha says, can we get the clear pictures of eclipse from mobile phone? Do you know the answers, Soumya?
Yeah, the thing is that if you want to capture the whole lunar eclipse through mobile phone, the thing is that you need to use it afocal photography, which is you can use the telescope with the phone itself. But if you want to capture it just only through phone, I think it is going to be very difficult.
Okay, Rahul says, what do we do when we have fixed audience and only 50 people can watch at a time? How to engage others?
We will come with the plan for the fixed audience, and we will share you the informations very soon.
But mostly, Rahul, there's not much you can do except keep them in a line and maybe divert some to the other telescope or to another area to point out constellations and to point out constellations, like I said, winter hexagon and Orion and Pleiades. So you can try to divide the crowd and show some of them that. But it is hard in a Neha says we can set up an astronomy corner. All this can only be done when it's a school. If it's a park and all, you have to be careful what you're doing. Okay, so Chitra says, apart from Chand Ka Langar, what are other myth-breaking activities? But this is the only one we have really suggested here. And you have also to just address that it's a lunar eclipse versus a solar eclipse. Okay, so one of you asked, what do we study in a lunar eclipse? It is not as much studied as a solar eclipse, as I found out. And just so all of you here know, we will be having a hangout with the scientists on 29th, and we can ask them more about the science of, but mostly, it is just for observation and photography. And there is the crater measurements that you can do. So So there are some activities that one can do. Okay, so Rahul says what to do 6 to 8. But you will start seeing the partial eclipse at 6:30, right? Senapati?
Pardon?
Rahul says what will we be able to see? What will we be able to see eclipse? Uh,
Because from
because we can
6:15,
see eclipse only after 8, but Rahul, it's before 8 you'll be able to see it.
yeah, because 6:15 the total phase is going to start.
Partial eclipse will start at 6:15,
Oh, sorry, the observation starts in 6:15
right?
and 6:21 the full phase is starting. Extremely sorry.
Okay, so when the moon rises, it's in partial. You'll just have to call out the time when the total eclipse starts. Uh,
Yes.
See, there won't, and Rahul and all the educators, once the phase starts, it will just keep looking like that for a long time. So I think the best thing to do is just let people go, see it and go. And you can't engage them. It's harder to engage them for 3 hours, but we'll try to give you some. And like Manali said, encourage the crowd to take pictures. I also. So Rahul
Hmm.
says our view is not clear, almost 20 degrees blocked by the trees, which is an issue. You'll have to wait till the moon rises above that to actually see it. So based on all this, if you want to change your timings for public observation still, you can do that. Because,
Ma'am, I have to say something over here also. The thing
yeah.
is that if we are doing a public observation session, we have to keep it in mind with all of these things. Like, what is our view and which part of the view is clear? They need to find out at which direction during that moment the moon is rising. So it is not like they're just going from some of the random places and they can do it. They have to plan it accordingly. That's the best thing which I have already told you from the beginning itself. Planning is needed at least 3 to 4 days before, that how we are going to manage all of the things. You have to tackle these things, like you have to set up the telescope in such a way that from a higher altitude so that you can view it also. Do it in a concerned way properly.
Okay, so the Rohib suggests some more myths that are addressed. I mean, of course, none of these myths can be dealt with there, but we can mention it, such as, if you get a scar, it will leave a mark. For what he's trying to say is healing power reduces during lunar eclipse. Many civilized used to think that moon heals at this time. Of course, lunar eclipse, it's not a myth. It almost actually happens is that the tidal forces change during lunar eclipse, and so on. Okay, Siddhesh asked from which part of India can we see this eclipse? And I think this eclipse we can see from all points of India.
Yes.
But the only thing is, it's going to rise when already the partial eclipse has started. So none of us can see the start of the eclipse. Start of the total eclipse, but not the start of the partial eclipse. And so you just have to keep the timing in your hand. When the moon rises, it will be already. So in Meerut, Manali points out that moon should be visible from 6:55. So your total is going to happen almost right away. As we see the moon, we should point out it's in partial and get ready to look at the total, which and that total phase will be continuing for some time. So you all have handouts that have timings of all the cities. So be careful about when is your moon rise and when do you think you should be able to see it. And as Senapati says, maybe a recce mission to your location to see at what point you can actually see the moon above your horizon and above the trees and all that are there. Okay, so I think we'll leave it here. Senapati, anything else? Manali, anything else? If you point it, I can point it out.
No, man. That's. I think we have covered all of the things, and that's the only thing which we have left. That is for the fixed audience, and we will come with a plan for it.
Yeah. So on Monday, we'll give you this, or even today, we'll give you this PowerPoint presentation, the luminosity document, and a stronger conduction plan for where we'll separate out the fixed location, fixed observation from one where we expect people to come and go, as in public observations. Okay, Chitra, we will share the handout. The handout is in the black box, so it should be shared with you, but we will share it. Okay, so Fog Dude in Ghaziabad. We will share the timings. It's almost the same as Delhi, but we will share the timings online. Can you just write to us at getinTouch@space-india.com, and we'll get back to you with the details that you want. Okay, thanks all of you for joining us. It's a little it's a little difficult because all of us are doing different observations, and we all have different plans. Some of us have school locations, some of us have public observations, and if you're in Ghaziabad, Fog Dude, and anybody else, we will be doing a big observation at India Gate. Please join us here. And Sandeep points out, for any of us, and that's how we've got the information, we can see exact location of the rising moon on the time and date website. And on that website, there's also animation that you can see for your location of how the moon will pass through the umbra and what are the exact timings. And we've tried to put these timings on that sheet, but you might want to take a look also. Okay, Sandeep not understood how to measure the luminosity. All you have to do is keep the handout that I've given to you, look at the moon visually, and check the outer rim, compare it to one of those images, and see what it best matches. Maybe it's L equal to 1 that it best matches. Then you just have to record that it was L equal to 1 that matched the luminosity at the maximum phase, and do the same reading for when the totality just started, when it was maximum, and when it just ended. So you'll have 3 readings, and you have to write the timings and the readings, and that's all you have to do. Okay, it's a measure of luminosity and the color change in these 3 different timings. Okay, thanks folks. Hope we all have a very great observation. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is that between now and when the observation happens, these are the action items for all of us. We have to post it on social media, our locations, where we are planning to do it, especially if we want public to join us there. We have to send a media press release. We have to send a media, we have to post images on the night of the eclipse with the right tags and hashtag. If any image you want to send to media on that night, please send it to your contacts, or if you have any really great images, please send it to me or Mayank so we can send it to media here. And or if you somehow can't do it, please do it the next morning. And I think that's all of it. We will send you a conduction document, the PPT, and the luminosity document. And please take a look through all of those. Okay, so thanks for joining. And one more last thing. The hangout we're having is with Dr. Gianluca Massi, who is the director of Virtual Telescope. And he will tell us about how Virtual Telescope will be streaming this. And additionally, he will be highlighting some of the images that we submit, images or video clips that we submit. So that's a great opportunity. So if you have any great photographs, please do send it to me as soon as you get it. Okay, so thank you. And we will, any questions you have, we'll address it in the next day. Okay, we'll address it by Monday. Thank you.